I've got many comments coming back already, and I really appreciate these comments because I believe that a healthy discussion on this issue could allow America to take the $60 billion a year that are going out into unproductive unemployment payments and inject those dollars directly into our economy, creating a flurry of ingenuity and output by American workers. So let's get going. So a first concern that was brought up is that perhaps this is the wrong idea. We already have a glut of workers in this country, and we have no demand. So we don't need to add an additional 10% of workers to the workforce. That may be true for a government-driven economy. As an example, in the 1980s, when I went to Poland to buy a power plant, I found that the Polish government had given jobs to 5,400 workers in this plant that only needed 600 workers. But in a market-driven economy, where voucher employees are free to flow to the best jobs available, adding new employees will most certainly increase demand. Bill Clinton's workfare program was a good example of this principle. America's desires for products and services hasn't decreased, only our ability to pay for them. Employment certainty of a 2-year voucher program will free up employees to spend. Lower cost of labor will make products and services more affordable to Americans, who will then be able to buy those services and products. And exports, a great percentage that are produced by small businesses, will be more competitive in the international marketplace, also increasing demand. A second concern that was raised is that hiring voucher employees may take jobs away from existing employees. Well, the fact is that many small businesses have a glut of new ideas that need new employees, and yet they can't afford them. These glut of ideas is causing a pent-up demand for new employees because small businesses have limited access to credit and working capital and are unable to afford these new employees. In addition, our current low-demand economy creates a greater risk to invest in innovation and labor. Free labor frees up capital, lowers innovation risk, and creates demand for additional employees. As for replacing existing employees, short-term, part-time employees are no replacement for long-term, valuable, loyal employees who create the essence or the backbone of small businesses. In the first 2 years of employment, the cost of training and the cost of mistakes sometimes outweighs the value of a new employee. However, this long-term recession means that these new voucher employees may have the opportunity to be available to small businesses for a longer term. The voucher program decreases the risk of new employees and offsets training costs, which allows the employer to give these new employees longer-term projects, which are a benefit to the company, provides additional growth opportunity for the new employees, and spurs the economy to new innovation. A third issue raised is that unions won't favor this idea. For those small businesses that employ union employees, they probably won't be able to participate in this program. However, with rising ships, the oars from the unions as well as non-union employees will rise as well. Increased competitiveness and increased employment will ultimately protect unions as well as non-union employees from the pressure of wage deflation, because real wages will rise when American productivity increases. A fourth concern is that a flood of new workers will depress wages. Our economy has a much greater risk of long-term systemic wage deflation from the existence of high unemployment and decreased demand than from adding short-term, untrained voucher employees to the workforce. In fact, by quickly absorbing these workers into the workforce, the pressures of long-term stagnant unemployment on wage deflation will quickly dissipate. And the sooner small businesses can put workers to work on innovation, the sooner demand will return to our economy. The next issue that's been raised is waste, fraud, and abuse. With every solution that comes out of Washington, there is always waste, fraud, and abuse. And any legislation that deals with this issue will have to deal with that potential. The very nature of putting people to work in a low-demand economy is wasteful in itself. That's why the free market must determine the best use of employees. However, putting all of our citizens to work is definitely less wasteful than keeping them on the sidelines of our economy. Fraud must be dealt with as always, and there will be a need to put rules and penalties in place for those few unscrupulous employers who try to game the system by replacing existing workers with voucher employees. But if we can work through these concerns and put this ideal to work, we'll take the $60 billion that are being spent to keep employees on the sidelines of the American economy, and we'll directly infuse that $60 billion through the innovation of small businesses, creating value for our economy, for our citizens, and making America more competitive in the world. So let's get going on these ideas. Let's continue this discussion. I look forward to it. Thank you.